Welcome to Young Kizzy, the one YouTube channel. If this is your first time on my YouTube channel, please subscribe to my YouTube channel by clicking on the red subscribe button down below and turn on the bell icon. Tell me what you think about this video in the comment section.
Madam Speaker, on the rehabilitation and upgrading of the 71 kilometers Monze-Nico Road, the works are ongoing. The physical progress on the project now stands at 85%, with 67 kilometers surfaced. The works are scheduled to be completed by first quarter of 2027. The project includes the construction of a new bridge at Wengwa, which is at 65% completion. Madam Speaker, may I further update the House that the works for the rehabilitation and approximately 87.3 kilometers of the Tate Yoyo to Katunda Road are ongoing and scheduled to be completed by December 24, 2026. Physical progress stands at about 36.5%, and Town's roads works have since commenced in Kaoma. In conclusion, Madam Speaker, I wish to state once again that I have taken note of the observations and recommendations made by the committee, and I support the adoption of the report by the House. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Water Development and Sanitation.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. I'm indeed honored to stand before this House to respond to the report of the Committee on Governance Assurances. From the onset, I wish to convey my sincere appreciation to the committee for its diligence in tracking and evaluating assurances made on the floor of this House. The committee's work is vital in enforcing accountability, transparency, and effective public service delivery. The Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation remains fully committed to supporting parliamentary oversight and to ensuring that all government assurances are implemented in a timely, efficient, and sustainable manner. Madam Speaker, water supply and sanitation services are not merely developmental priorities. They are fundamental human rights and essential pillars for national development. Despite the challenges that the water sector has faced at the hands of climate change, I wish to commend the committee for recognizing the tangible progress recorded across various projects, as well as its constructive recommendations aimed at accelerating service delivery and strengthening water resources management. As clearly evidenced in the report, the Ministry has demonstrated resilience and resolve in overcoming operational and fiscal constraints, resulting in measurable improvements in the delivery of water supply and sanitation services across the country. This progress is not incidental. It is a direct result of the decisive and visionary leadership of the New Dawn government, which has steered the nation from economic instability towards sustained recovery and broad-based growth across all sectors, including water and sanitation. Quickly, Madam Speaker, I'll provide a few updates on specific assurances highlighted in the committee's report. Assurance number 31/26, water harvesting in Soka District. Madam Speaker, government procured 4 standby pumps for Chambeshi water supply and sanitation, of which 1 has been installed in the Boma area of Isoka District. Additional funding has been disbursed and procurement of 4 more pumps is underway, with installation expected in the first quarter of 2026. Further, with support from World Vision Zambia, 19 boreholes have been upgraded into small piped water schemes, significantly improving access to safe water. Government will ensure that the remaining boreholes are upgraded and will expedite procurement processes to extend services to currently underserved areas under the 2026 national budget. Madam Speaker, on Assurance 48/26, water supply and sanitation in Lusaka province, to improve sanitation in Kafue district, 121 container-based sanitation systems have been installed under a demand-driven approach. While importation of these systems has been discontinued, arrangements are underway with fresh life for local manufacturing to ensure sustainability and scalability. On Assurance 68.26, construction, maintenance, and rehabilitation of dams countrywide, my ministry has commenced the construction, rehabilitation, and maintenance of dams in most drought-prone provinces. The ministry has completed construction of 6 dams, namely Muyembe Dam in Kawamba District, Wapula Province, Chundwe Dam, Chilea, Jongolo, and Hajamba Dams in Zimba, Kazungula, Kalomo, and Pemba District, respectively, in Southern Province. Construction of Kawawa Dam in Kasenengwa District in Eastern Province has been completed. Further, construction of 6 more dams, namely Siakalinda in Siavonga District, Chisuta and Chiwentolo in Pemba District, Mutwabantu Dam in Kalomo District, Tambana and Sambelele dams in Zimba District in Southern Province is ongoing, with completion at varying stages of implementation ranging from 30 to 100% complete. Additionally, the design and construction of 9 dams under the 60 dams program in 5 drought-prone provinces has commenced. These dams are earmarked to be constructed by December 2026. Further, Madam Speaker, the Ministry has commenced procurement of remaining works on Chief Mpande Dam in Senga Hill, Changula Dam in Shibunyu District, Mbaswa Dam in Serenje District, and Winga Dam in Nikelenge District in northern, central, and northwestern provinces. The Ministry further wishes to indicate that rehabilitation of 6 dams, namely Amose and Lutwazi Dams in Petauge District, Eastern Province, Chitindi Dam in Mbala District, Northern Province, Kabombwa Dam in Kayema District, Western Province, Mauka and Luyava Dams in Choma and Moze Districts, respectively, in Southern Province, have been completed. Rehabilitation works are currently in progress at Nangoma Dam in Mumba District, Central Province, Musipazi, Feni, and Lunyike Dams in Chipata District, Eastern Province. Additionally, the Ministry has commenced procurement processes to procure contractors to rehabilitate 3 more dams, namely Bulanda in Pemba District, Kacholola Dam in Nyimba District, and Sajinga Dam in Serenje District, in the various provinces. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Water Development and Sanitation reiterates its unwavering commitment to fulfilling all government assurances and delivering results that directly improve the lives of our citizens. The progress recorded to date demonstrates that under the leadership of the New Dawn government, Zambia is firmly on a trajectory of recovery, resilience, and sustainable development. The water and sanitation sector will continue to play a central role in this transformation by expanding access, strengthening infrastructure, and safeguarding our water resources. Madam Speaker, we remain resolute in ensuring that no Zambian is left behind in accessing safe, affordable, and sustainable water and sanitation services. Let's therefore continue to work together across political divides and sectors to consolidate these gains and build a water-secure Zambia for present and future generations. Madam Speaker, we heard complaints from our colleagues. We just want to assure them that all assurances we have made on this floor of the House will be achieved. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister of Health.
Thank you very much, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, firstly, I would like to express my gratitude for allowing me to respond to the report from your committee on government assurances. I sincerely appreciate the efforts of the committee and the members in preparing the report. Madam Speaker, allow me to give my specific and general comments on some of the observations and recommendations made by the committee. On the recruitment of 2,000 frontline health personnel, Madam Speaker, I wish to update this House that a total of 3,025 health workers were recruited under the 2025 recruitment exercise. This exercise was concluded and successful candidates have begun reporting to their workstations. The total number of those recruited by the New Dawn administration stands closely to 22,000 health workers, demonstrating government's unwavering commitment in the strengthening of health system through equitable recruitment and deployment of health workers across the country, ensuring that all communities have access to quality health services. regarding provision of health services to the poor and vulnerable. Madam Speaker, the government assured this House of its commitment to supporting NEMA in extending health coverage to the poor and vulnerable. In line with this assurance, $2.5 million was secured from a private donor and has been utilized to cover an additional number of 40,500 households across the country, thereby advancing our collective quest to achieve universal health coverage. Not too long ago, Madam Speaker, just about a week, we moved a motion in this House to recapitalize NEMA, and that is an agenda by government to respond to this call. As a result of the scheme, now we have an expanded membership and utilization reaching 5.8 million Zambians, which is a milestone that reflects government's dedication to equity in healthcare. Furthermore, NEMA is undertaking key reforms aimed at ensuring its solvency and sustainability while progressively increasing coverage to even more households. Madam Speaker, Ndola Cancer Disease Hospital now stands at 80% completion. The works had stalled due to delayed in release of funds by Badia, which is a financing entity. However, this has since been resolved and works have resumed, and completion is expected within this year, 2026. Madam Speaker, as I conclude, I reiterate my gratitude to your committee for this report and wish to state that I have taken note of the observations and recommendations of the report, and a comprehensive action taken report will be prepared for this August House. Having said that, Madam Speaker, I support the adoption of this report by the House. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Minister for Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I'm grateful for the opportunity to address this August House on the progress made in implementing the assurances rendered on the floor of this House. At the outset, allow me to extend my sincere appreciation to the Committee on Government Assurances for its continuous oversight, which ensures that the government remains steadfast in honoring the assurances it has made. Madam Speaker, the Ministry of Home Affairs and Internal Security reaffirms its unwavering commitment to bringing to fruition the projects that were presented before this House, notwithstanding the challenges encountered during implementation. The construction of Mununga Police Station in Chienge District has been completed, save for the drilling of a borehole which could not be undertaken during the rain season. Once conditions permit, the borehole will be drilled without delay. Similarly, the construction of the police post in Magoye constituency has been completed, with only the final inspection remaining. Madam Speaker, the installation of solar energy systems at police stations is ongoing and progressing steadily. As at 31st March 2026, a total of 15 police stations had been equipped with solar power systems out of an establishment of 108 police stations and 384 police posts countrywide. In the year 2026 financial year, a sum of 6 million has been allocated to scale up the installation of solar systems to additional stations and posts. The procurement process for additional solar equipment is currently underway. Madam Speaker, the government remains committed to procuring an additional boat to enhance police operations in Chilobi district. To facilitate timely acquisition, the ministry is actively engaging the Zambia Police Service to expedite the procurement process in accordance with established public procurement procedures. This intervention is aimed at ensuring that the vessel is delivered and becomes operational within the 2026 financial year. The acquisition of the additional boat will greatly enhance water-based patrols across the lake and surrounding island communities. Madam Speaker, the ministry has commenced works on the completion of police housing units in Serenge district use the phased approach. Work has started on 16 of the 66 housing units in one of the lots. The plan is complete all 66 units by December 2028. To date, 8 of the 16 units have been completed, with the remaining 8 scheduled to be completed by December 2026. The government is also committed to completing the construction of the National Registration Office in Katete District, and the progress to engage a contractor is underway. Similarly, the government remains committed to completing the remaining works at the National Registration Office in Kalabo District, where procurement activities are currently in progress. Madam Speaker, the government remains resolute in improving the welfare of police officers and enhancing service delivery. In this regard, efforts are being made to mobilize resources for the construction of housing units for police officers in Luapula province, as well as the construction of an office block and housing units for the police in Rufunsa district. Madam Speaker, peace and security are fundamental to the socio-economic development of our nation. In view of this, the government remains committed to resolving the outstanding border issues with the Democratic Republic of Congo. Through the Joint Permanent Commission on Defense and Security and other platforms, the government continues to engage its counterpart on these matters. The survey authorities of the two countries are scheduled to meet in July 2026 in Puerto, Democratic Republic of Congo, to examine and review the respective submissions regarding the interpretation of the remaining 8-kilometer segment of the Kipimbi mountain range in accordance with Article 1 of the 1989 treaty. In addition, the two parties have agreed to hold a follow-up meeting in Chenge district to continue sensitization of local communities, conduct joint reconnaissance, and undertake boundary demarcation activities. Madam Speaker, I thank you.
Thank you very much. The Honorable Member for Feira, we're winding up debate.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, allow me just to thank all the debaters, starting with members of Parliament, our seconder, Honorable Vosha, Honorable Mtachalo, Honorable Kasandwe, Kapianga, Honorable Kangombe, as well as Honorable Kampiongo. I also want to appreciate and indicate, the indebtedness of the comments and reactions from the executive, represented by the Minister of Lands. The Minister of Local Government was representing the Minister of Infrastructure, the Minister of Water, Minister of Health, and the Minister of Home Affairs. Honorable Madam Speaker, suffice to indicate that members did raise a number of pertinent issues. There are roads that have been outstanding, schools that have been outstanding, as well as many other factors. I think that is important. We appreciate that government is also making some efforts, but the committee is saying that we need to raise our efforts. It is important to fulfill these assurances, because this is very serious, as some of these projects are related to economic development, and the social welfare of the people directly. We appreciate issues of the border disputes that have been going on for many years. I think that government should really ensure that these are dealt with. And also schools that have been outstanding, the Luano Secondary School, Mwenda, and so on. Building of hostels in various universities. This is very important, as you know, higher and tertiary education is very important for the development of this country. Madam Speaker, we really appreciate even issues of water and so on, but what we are saying is that government must pull up its socks, look for monies. It's important, yes, to appreciate the fact that we talk about resources. I appreciate members' contributions to the effect that, like in Mpika, people are seeing gold being mined there, but at the same time, people are living in impoverished environments. I think it's important for government to move in the mining sector, collect taxes from these foreign companies. I think that it's high time we realize...
Honorable Member for Feira, please wind up. If you bring new issues, they will not be responded to. Suppose wind up, don't bring out new issues. The gold, mining of gold.
Thank you for your guidance, Madam Speaker. The issue of resources came up in the debates. But, Madam Speaker, we also forgot the issue of, there was a motion on our diplomatic passports. Madam Speaker, that was also an assurance. We hope that this will be dealt with, because we still have 2 months before that. Madam Speaker, finally, I really just want to thank your office and thank everyone for this wonderful debate. I thank you.
Order. I put the question. The question is that this House adopts the report of the Committee on Government Assurances for the 5th session of the 13th National Assembly, laid on the table of the House on Friday, 24th April 2026. As many as are of that opinion say aye. Aye. Of the contrary say no. The ayes have it. The ayes have it. The question is resolved in the affirmative. The clerk will now read the orders of the day.
The Closed Circuit Television Public Protection Bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2025.
The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that the bill be now read a second time.
The question is that the bill be now read a second time. Any debate? The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal Security.
Madam Speaker, I am grateful for the opportunity to present a statement on the Closed Circuit Television Public Protection Bill 2025. At the outset, allow me to express my sincere appreciation to the Parliamentary Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs for its diligent and thorough consideration of this bill. On every occasion, it has been referred to the committee. I also commend all stakeholders for their constructive input, which has greatly enriched the legislative process and contributed to meaningfully to the development of the bill. Madam Speaker, following the deferment of the Closed-Circuit Television Public Protection Bill by His Excellency, the President of the Republic of Zambia, the Ministry, in collaboration with the Parliamentary Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs and the Ministry of Justice, conducted extensive public consultations across selected districts from 23rd to 27th March 2026. These consultations were undertaken in response to 2 key concerns raised by His Excellency the President, namely, 1, insufficient safeguards for the protection of individual privacy and personal liberties, and 2, inadequate public consultations, suggesting that the bill had not met the threshold of participation expected of legislation with broad national impact. The ministry recognized these concerns as legitimate and fundamental to ensuring constitutional compliance and public confidence in the legislative process. Madam Speaker, across all districts where consultations were conducted, stakeholders including civil society, organizations, traditional leaders, state institutions, the private sector, academia, and regulatory and oversight bodies expressed appreciation for the President's decision to defer the bill and allow further public engagements. Stakeholders welcome the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to a legislative framework that directly affects public security and individual freedoms. Madam Speaker, the object of the bill is to establish a comprehensive legal and regulatory framework governing the installation, operation, and management of CCTV systems in Zambia for the purposes of enhancing public safety and crime prevention. B, supporting lawful and effective law enforcement operations. And C, safeguarding personal data and the right to privacy. Madam Speaker, following the public consultations and guided by the concerns raised by His Excellency, the President, the Ministry has proposed several targeted amendments to the bill, which, among other matters, seek to: 1, strengthen the protection of the right to privacy; 2, provide a clear and predictable legal framework for surveillance operations; 3, ensure full compliance with the Data Protection Act number 3 of 2021; 4, it requires safeguards to ensure that surveillance measures are lawful, necessary, and proportionate, and introduce comprehensive data governance obligations relating to the collection, use, storage, and access to CCTV data. Madam Speaker, among the key amendments introduced are the following: 1, privacy and data protection safeguards. The amendments establish a comprehensive framework governing: A, collection, limited strictly to specific legitimate law enforcement purposes, which must be clearly recorded in writing; B, use and access, restricted to authorized officers only on a strict need to access basis, with mandatory logging and audit trails and sanctions for abuse; C, storage and retention, subject to time-limited retention of a minimum of 30 days, with any extended retention requiring judicial authorization; D, security measures, mandatory encryption of all CCTV data, both in transit and at rest, supported by strict access control mechanisms; 2, oversight and accountability. The amendments further provide for: A, judicial oversight over access to CCTV data and extended data retention periods; and B, criminal and administrative sanctions for the misuse or unlawful handling of CCTV systems and data. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, I wish to submit that: 1, the concerns raised by His Excellency the President and by the stakeholders during public consultations have been adequately and comprehensively addressed through the proposed amendments; and 2, the bill as revised now provides a robust, accountable, and rights-compliant legal framework that balances public security with the protection of individual rights and freedoms. Madam Speaker, I thank you. I so submit.
Thank you very much. Any further debate? The chairperson of the Committee on National Security and Foreign Affairs, The Honourable Member for Kaoma Central.
Madam Speaker, I beg to move that this House adopts the report on the Committee of National Security and Foreign Affairs on the reconsideration of the closed-circuit television public protection bill, National Assembly Bill number 1 of 2025, laid on the table of the House on 27th April 2026.
You are debating. Yes, you continue, yes.
Madam Speaker, the bill before the House was referred back to the House, to the National Assembly by His Excellency the President for reconsideration. This is pursuant to Article 66(1)(b) of the Constitution. The President's reservations were principally anchored on two critical issues. Firstly, the inadequacy of safeguards for the protection of the right to privacy, and secondly, the need for wider stakeholder consultation given the far-reaching implications on the bill on constitutional rights and civil liberties. Madam Speaker, in discharging its mandate under the Standing Orders 2006 and 207, the committee undertook extensive consultations with key stakeholders, including government institutions, civil society organizations, academia, and members of the public across selected towns. And these towns are Lusaka, Chipata, Choma, Livingstone, Kabwe, Ndola, Kitwe, and Solwezi. The committee also benefited from the engagements which provided valuable information. Madam Speaker, from the outset, I want to state that stakeholders unanimously supported the objective of the bill, which is to enhance public safety through the regulation and use of CCTV systems. This support is particularly significant in light of Zambia's aspiration towards a 24-hour economy where security infrastructure becomes indispensable. Madam Speaker, the committee notes with concern that the bill in its current form does not provide a comprehensive framework governing the collection, use, storage, access, and destruction of CCTV footage. This gap creates a real risk of abuse, including arbitrary surveillance, unlawful access to personal data, and indefinite retention of sensitive information. In this regard, the committee strongly recommends that the bill be revised to incorporate clear and enforceable safeguards, which should include provisions for lawful and purpose-specific collection of footage, restricted and accountable access to recorded material, time-bound storage, which with strict retention limits, mandatory encryption and data protection measures, and judicial oversight for extended storage of intrusive surveillance actions. Madam Speaker, the committee further observes that the bill does not sufficiently align with the Data Protection Act number 3 of 2021. This misalignment risks creating duplication, regulatory conflict, and weak enforcement of data protection principles. The committee, therefore, recommends that the bill be harmonized with the existing data protection legislation to ensure coherence, accountability, and protection of citizens' personal data. Madam Speaker, another matter of serious concern relates to the extensive powers granted to enforcement officers, particularly with respect to entry, search, seizure, and arrest without warrant. While these powers may be necessary in certain circumstances, the committee is of the considered view that they must be clearly circumscribed and subject to judicial oversight to prevent abuse and enforce proportionality. Madam Speaker, the committee further notes that absence of an independent oversight mechanism within the institutional framework of the bill Madam Speaker, the committee further notes the absence of an independent oversight mechanism within the institutional framework of the bill. The concentration of regulatory and operational authority within security institutions raises legitimate concerns regarding transparency and accountability. The committee, therefore, recommends the inclusion of independent bodies such as Human Rights Commission to enhance public confidence and ensure impartial oversight. Madam Speaker, I call upon the Honourable House to adopt this report and support the necessary revisions to the bill so that we can enact not just a law, but a just, balanced, and rights-respecting law, a law that protects both the nation and its people, a law that strengthens security without weakening liberty. As I conclude, Madam Speaker, I wish to express sincere gratitude to your office and that of the Office of the Clerk for the unwavering support rendered to the committee. Madam Speaker, with these few remarks, I beg to move.
Thank you very much. The Honourable Member for Lunte.
Madam Speaker, I am very pleased to be speaking immediately after the chairperson for the committee who spoke just after the Honourable Minister tendered his submission. Madam, the Honourable Minister said after the President brought back this bill to the House, the ministry, his ministry, in collaboration with the committee, consulted lots of stakeholders and he gave the number of districts. Madam Speaker, we have now come to a place where the National Assembly of Zambia works together with the executive, and we are at a crossroad. Madam Speaker, the
the Honourable Member for Lunte, it's the committee that went to do the consultation with the stakeholders. The minister was not part and parcel of the committee.
I misunderstood the collaboration. Sorry, Madam. Madam Speaker, the minister submits this bill for second reading for the second time. Same bill for the second reading. The Honourable Chairperson for the committee advises the revision of the bill, and he begs this House, Madam Speaker, to adopt this report. Now, I am at a crossroads. If we adopt this report, this is what we are adopting, the recommendation from the committee. The committee therefore recommends that the bill be revised in order to expressly incorporate clear, comprehensive, and enforceable safeguards for the protection of the right to privacy. This is what is going to happen. If we, the National Assembly of Zambia, decide to take the route that the chairman has proposed, we will be adopting this report and will be saying, let this bill be revised. Madam, this bill is already on the floor of the House, and it has not been revised. It has come back the same way that it went to the presidential assent and came back to the Assembly. Therefore, we would be saying, yes, we have adopted the report, and yet it's going to committee stage. Madam Speaker, there is a problem in the manner we have been conducting business. And let it be put clear that we have to decide. If we decide today, Madam, that we are adopting this report, my recommendation is that this bill should go for revision. However, if we don't decide in line with the plea of your chairman, Madam Speaker, if we decide in terms of the demand by the Honourable Minister, then this bill can only go through by way of amendments. But the President, Madam Speaker, got concerned with a number of things, and my contribution today is based on the committee's report. Listen, Madam, to what the President said. The President said the President stated that the bill did not provide adequate safeguards governing the collection, use, storage, and protection of CCTV footage. Now, these are serious concerns. If I went to the Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and asked him, I will ask him and say, when this bill was initially being authorized by Cabinet, before it came the first time, was the President there? I would like to get the answer from you. Madam Speaker.
I don't want to interrupt, Honorable Member. Let me give guidance. You know, we have a procedure under which we follow when we are considering bills. The bill comes from executive, is read for the first time, it's referred to the committee interacts with the stakeholders, they make comments on the bill, they prepare their report, they bring the report to the House for second reading. They don't amend, they just bring with concerns and observations and recommendations. After the debate in the second reading, that's when it goes to the committee for amendments. So it cannot be amended at this stage. It will only be amended when it goes to the committee stage. So here the committee has made observations on the bill. So once they've made those recommendations and we debate here, we agree, the report, we are not adopting the report. The report is given to assist in the debate on the bill. It's the bill that we are debating, not the report. The report is there to facilitate the debate. So maybe if we take it from that, but you may continue.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I did not even reach there, but here is the thing. The point I would like to drive, maybe I'll drive it anew and say, this is a government bill. It's not a private member's bill. And it has come to this assembly twice, to be read at the second reading twice. And when it goes to the committee and report stage and finally third reading, it will be going there twice. It's the same bill. That's my point, number one. And my point number two was meant to say it is coming from the same government which initially brought it to this House. And let's all agree that these are transaction costs. Let's all agree that, Madam, we are yet to see a supplementary budget to fund these operations. That is my point. And my point is that it is better to put through data, to put through information the first time, so that you will minimize on the unnecessary, transaction, so that the money that is spent for the taxpayers is actually spent wisely, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, but I did say these concerns which the President brought back are serious concerns. And in fact, maybe I was being unfair by saying the President was in that cabinet, which maybe I should have said, didn't the minister who is here among us see these issues? Didn't he see them the first time? Didn't he recognize that there was insufficient safeguards, Madam, for the collection of data, for the usage of data, storage of data? These stakeholders that they have consulted in collaboration with the Committee of Parliament, why didn't they consult them then to reduce on the cost? This cost is from the people, Madam Speaker. It is the people who are paying for these costs. That's my question.
My concern now, Honorable Member, are we discussing the cost of drawing the law, or we are looking at the content? Those are the procedures. They are within the Constitution. We are not breaching any law. Once the bill goes to the President after third reading, the President can either assent or not assent. If he doesn't assent, it comes back. Now, we can't fault ourselves that why didn't we see? Why didn't we do this? It's costly. I mean, it's part of the process. Democracy is not cheap. You may continue.
Madam, I would like to ignore the issue of the cost. It now doesn't matter, since the taxpayers are paying. Madam Speaker, if we go to page 9, we will observe that the committee is saying it does not, in its current form, provide sufficiently clear, comprehensive, and enforceable safeguards. So the committee decides to reiterate that point. And if you went to number 4 on the same page, you'll see that they are saying the bill does not sufficiently align its surveillance framework with Article 17 of the Constitution of Zambia. Madam Speaker, I don't know how even this assembly can put through a bill which does not align with the constitutional provisions, but we're still, because for us, we rely on these reports from our colleagues, and since these people are saying they consulted a lot of stakeholders, they were just 10 stakeholders, and all of them but one are government institutions. So what I'm saying, it is possible to miss out on some information, but for the government, madam, for the executive, I mean, it is impossible for data to slip through their fingers, because this process is starting from instructions to principal approval, back to Minister of Justice, and back to, to Cabinet, and then for publication. How can we be projecting such kind of bills? Madam Speaker, it is time we became serious. I beg to submit.
Part of the process. The Honorable Member Fonkan.
Madam Speaker, today I want to be as simple as I can be in making a submission on this proposed bill. Honorable Minister, I want to be as simple as I can be, because I remember that the last time I made a submission, there was quite a lot of misunderstandings on some of our colleagues who don't take time in reading. Now, this bill is being referred to as the Closed Circuit Television Public Protection Bill number 1 of 2025. Now, we all do understand here, colleagues, that the process of a bill starts with a proposal by a proposing ministry, it goes to cabinet, and at cabinet, the minister must be thorough so that what has happened does not repeat itself. Because, Madam Speaker, this bill had gone for assenting, and the President decides to refer it back here. It's an indictment that our colleagues, when moving these, are not thorough at cabinet to explain what is contained in these bills. Now, the President notes in his decision to refer this bill back to Parliament that it did not provide adequate safeguards governing the collection, use, storage, as well as protection of CCTV footage. Now, Madam Speaker, at the point of not sounding monotonous, because I thoroughly debated this bill when it came before this August House the last time, where I emphasized that we are not against, regulating CCTVs, but it's some of the provisions that are being included in this bill, Madam Speaker. As an example, the, overreaching that this bill intends to do on the privacy of citizens. I'll give you an example, Madam Speaker. I want us to follow each other very clearly. In section 24 of this bill, and I read and I quote, a person, it says, shall not use a CCTV in a change room. Madam Speaker, a change room is another word they use in the United States to mean a public toilet. it is saying, a person shall not use a CCTV in a change room or a public rest room. Now, it is clearly saying nobody has a right to put a CCTV in a toilet, right? But this bill makes an exception. It goes to state in 3, despite subsection 1, which provides that nobody has a right to put a CCTV in toilets, the minister may prescribe, and I want you to follow me, the minister in 3 may prescribe circumstances under which a CCTV or a mobile CCTV may be used in a public restroom or change room. What this law is providing, that the minister wants to have exceptions where he can prescribe how and circumstances that can lead into law enforcement agencies under the center to go and put CCTV cameras in toilets, public toilets. I remember this raised Wula Balus the last time I raised it, but clearly, colleagues, the Minister of Home Affairs, through this bill, is suggesting or wants to give himself powers to prescribe when the law enforcement agencies can go to an extent of putting CCTV cameras in public toilets. I don't want to suggest, or I can't even imagine why anybody would go to an extent of suggesting, let us put CCTV cameras in restroom or in change rooms. In short, let us put CCTV cameras in toilets, public toilets for that matter. Madam Speaker, CCTVs are extremely essential for helping curb criminality. And that is why, when we know that the police are incapable of providing security for our private premises, we are at liberty of installing our own security systems, and that's how a CCTV comes in. Through this bill, there is going to be established a command center. It is going to be referred to as the National Public Security Command Center, which will now establish a committee that will be headed by the Deputy Inspector General of Police, and of course this center will be headed by an executive director. Now, through this bill, it is now proposing that if I want to set up CCTV in my own premises, I must first of all apply for a license to the center, and it will take about 10 days for the executive director to review my application, and then he will refer that application to this committee that will consider my application in the next 50 days. So it will take you 2 months for you to install your own security system called the CCTV. Now, if it is further suggesting that that CCTV can only be used in the premise that you have submitted as you are making an application, meaning that if I install my CCTV in my premises today and I move to the next premise tomorrow, I cannot use the same license. I must go and apply for the same license that is going to be taking the next 2 months. Madam Speaker, it will interest this House to also understand perhaps what is referred to as CCTV, because there are two. There's a CCTV that will be stationed, the normal CCTV that we put in our houses, but there's also mobile CCTV. Now, you need to understand what comprises the mobile CCTV. And I quote, mobile CCTV could include live video streaming, recorded footages, and system settings that can be accessed anywhere via smartphones. This bill is proposing anyone who wants to use any mobile CCTV must equally, like the ones using fixed CCTV, apply to the command center, and it will take the same process, 10 days of revision by the executive director, and another 30 days in this instance of a mobile CCTV by this committee. Now, for public functions, we will need to have recordings, so that we have such, in our premises, possession. This law is proposing that it will take us another 30 months 1 month for us to even just have, the access or ability for us to be able to live stream events that we are conducting for as long as we are doing that in public places. Madam Speaker, that is why the President referred this bill back to Parliament for overreach into privacy of citizens. It has come back in the same way, and I'm wondering, why did we waste public resources to bring the same thing that has such overreach on the privacy of citizens? Madam Speaker, I submit.
Thank you. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs to respond. Or is there any other debate before the Minister comes? I see none. The Honorable Minister of Home Affairs and Internal.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, the good book tells us that if you continue being bitter, bitterness will kill you. That's what the good book tells us. Madam Speaker, I'm happy to note that we have a president who does not rubber stamp bills or acts that are being passed by Parliament. He doesn't. He reads. He analyzes. Unlike those who were in power in the immediate past, who never read anything apart from appending their signature with their eyes closed. Madam Speaker, is it not true, Madam Speaker, that we have been amending laws that were made by the PF? We are amending them because they were not thorough in coming with those laws. That's why we amend laws. And that is our duty. We are also aware, Madam Speaker, that we had one minister who had passed a law to regulate management of the roads in this country. We had to reverse them. And I'm glad to hear that he was not thinking when he was passing that law. That's what they are telling us. That's what they are telling us.
There is an indication for a point of order. Honorable Member for Nkana, what's the point of order?
Madam Speaker, Standing Orders number 71, relevance of debate. Madam Speaker, there is a subject of discussion on the floor, the CCTV bill, which bill equally has got a report from the committee. Is the Minister of Home Affairs in order, Madam Speaker, to take us into a roller coaster to bring in all those? We're not interested, Madam Speaker, in issues that happened before. Sylvia, Madam Speaker, we are not.
Now that you are laughing, it shows we are not. Can we get back to business?
No, Madam Speaker.
Honorable, time. Can we get back to business?
I wanted to make this point of order, Madam Speaker. Is the Minister of Home Affairs in order to take us away from what we're discussing, the CCTV bill, to all those who did and what they never did? Madam Speaker, we have an issue at hand, the CCTV bill. Should the Minister now confine himself to responding to the issue we've raised around the CCTV? I seek your indulgence.
As the honorable members were debating, they brought out some issues. So the honorable minister is just responding to those issues. May the honorable minister continue.
Madam Speaker, it was said on the floor of this House that when passing these or bringing these bills here, we are not being thorough. We do not analyze. And I'm just responding that ourselves, we have a president that reads, that analyzes, unlike others who were before us, who used to pass laws without thinking. And that's what I'm saying. If they were analyzing like we are analyzing now and reading, they would have been referring the bills back. But they never did that. And because we're a listening government, we listened to what the people of Zambia were saying. We listened to what the Honorable Fonkana was saying, including the Honorable Member for Lunte. Because we are listening, we brought it back through the President, which is being democratic. That's what we have done. Unless you are condemning, unless you are not sincere when you are making those comments that